They died in a plane crash, both of them, gone in an instant. They had 3 kids, ages 5, 7, and 9, and they'd done everything right. They had a will, they'd named a guardian, my brother. There was just one problem. They never asked him. When the lawyer called, my brother said no. He had just had his first baby. His wife had postpartum depression. They were barely holding it together with one infant. Taking 3 more kids, ages 5, 7, and 9, would destroy his family. So he said no. The court had to find the next option. My sister. She said yes, but she lived 2,000 miles away. So those 3 kids, who had just lost both parents, were ripped from their home, their schools, their friends, and moved across the country to live with an aunt they barely knew. If those parents had asked my brother first, they would have known, and they would have named someone else. I'm Lynn Stone, and this is The Flip Side. Today, if you have kids, this episode is non-negotiable. Who takes care of them? What do they eat? What are their routines? And the custody decision that could change everything. Let's dive in. When you die, your kids' world falls apart. Everything they know, everything that feels safe and predictable, is gone. And the one thing that can help them feel secure in the chaos, routines. Think about your family's daily rhythm. Those morning rushes, after-school activities, bedtime rituals. They're the backbone of your kids' lives. And when you're gone, keeping these routines as stable as possible can be incredibly comforting. So let's document them. For morning routines, what time does everyone wake up? Who makes breakfast? What do they eat? Do you have special traditions like pancakes on Saturday mornings? What's the getting ready process? Bath or shower? Brushing teeth? Getting dressed? Who packs backpacks and lunches? What time do they leave for school? And who drives them? Your after-school routines. What time do they get home? Do they have a snack? What's their go-to? Homework time. When and where? Do you have rules about screen time or video games? After-school activities. Does your daughter have ballet on Tuesdays? Your son's soccer practice on Thursdays? Who drives them? What do you pack? Water bottles, snacks, equipment? Do you have pre-game or pre-performance rituals? A pep talk? A special handshake? And your dinner routines. What time is dinner? Do you eat together as a family? Are there assigned seats? Any mealtime rules, like no phones, everyone shares something from their day? And bedtime routines. What time is bedtime for each child? Do you have a wind-down routine? Bath, pajamas, brush teeth? Do you read stories, sing songs, say prayers? Do they sleep with a special stuffed animal or a blanket? Do you check for monsters under the bed or leave the door open, just a little crack? Weekend and family traditions. Movie nights on Fridays? Sunday dinners with extended family? Saturday morning cartoons and cereal? Annual camping trips or beach vacations? Holiday traditions. These rituals provide security and continuity. They're anchors in your family's year. And whoever takes care of your kids should know about them and continue them if possible. Now here's something important. If your kids are old enough, ask them what routines matter most. Sit down and say, if something happened to me, what would you want to make sure still happened? What's most important to you? Their answers might surprise you. For younger kids, consider recording videos of your daily routines. Future caregivers can play these to maintain consistency and to comfort the kids with your familiar presence. Imagine a video of you reading their favorite bedtime story. They could watch that every night. So here's your action step. This week, write down your family's daily and weekly routines. Include your wake up and morning routine, after school routine, activities and schedules, dinner and evening routine, bedtime routine, weekend traditions, and annual traditions. Be specific. Include the little things, because those are what your kids will miss most. Let's talk about food, because food is comfort, food is memories, and food is love. Think about your family's eating habits. What are your kids' favorite meals? Maybe your famous spaghetti sauce? The way you cut sandwiches into dinosaur shapes. These details matter. Your favorite meals. Write down your kids' favorite dishes. Include recipes if you can, especially for the special ones only you know how to make. Maybe it's your grandma's chicken soup recipe, or your secret ingredient in mac and cheese. Don't let those recipes die with you. Dietary restrictions and allergies. This is critical information. Is your daughter lactose intolerant? Does your son have a peanut allergy, tree nuts, shellfish? Does anyone have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity? List all allergies and intolerances, and what happens if they're exposed. Do they need an EpiPen? Where is it kept? Meal routines. Do you have Taco Tuesdays, Pizza Fridays? These traditions provide structure and something to look forward to. And snacks. What do you pack in lunchboxes? What's the go-to for after-school snack? Are there rules about snacks? Only healthy options before dinner? No candy on school nights? For your picky eaters, if you have picky eaters, leave tips and tricks. Maybe your little one will only eat broccoli if you call it little trees. Or they need their food not to touch on the plate. Or they'll only eat chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs. These details help future caregivers avoid mealtime battles. Cultural or religious dietary practices. If you follow specific dietary laws, such as kosher, halal, vegetarian, or vegan, make sure whoever cares for your kids understands and respects these traditions. For babies and toddlers, if you have very young children, include formula preferences such as the brand, type, and how to prepare it, the bottle feeding schedule, weaning strategies, and the introduction of solid foods, what they've tried, what they like, what they're allergic to, and feeding routines and high chair behavior. So here's your action step. Create a food guide for your kids that includes favorite meals with recipes, dietary restrictions and allergies, meal routines and traditions, snack preferences and rules, picky eater strategies, cultural or religious practices, baby and toddler feeding info if applicable. Put this in your life and legacy binder. Share it with potential guardians. Because when your kids are grieving, familiar foods can be incredibly comforting. Don't make their new caregiver guess what they like to eat. Now let's talk about your kids' health and care needs. This is one of the most important sections because health issues can't wait. Doctors and specialists. Who are your kids' doctors? You need to list out the pediatrician, your dentist, the orthodontist, the eye doctor, and any specialist they may see, such as the allergist, cardiologist, therapist, etc. For each, note why your child sees them, how often, such as annual checkups, quarterly visits, etc., any ongoing treatments or monitoring. Their medical history. You need to document past surgeries or hospitalizations, chronic conditions such as asthma, diabetes, ADHD, autism, etc., any allergies for medications, foods, environmental, immunization records or where to find them, growth and development milestones, especially for younger kids. Medications. For each medication, list the name, which is brand name and generic, dosage, schedule twice daily with food, once at bedtime, etc., what it's for, the side effects to watch for, and the pharmacy where you fill it. And include any tricks for getting kids to take medicine. Does your daughter only take pills if they're crushed in applesauce? Does your son need a reward sticker chart for taking his daily vitamins? Health insurance. Where are the insurance cards? What's the policy number? Who's the primary contact? Login information for online portals. Mental and emotional health. This is just as important as physical health. Do your kids see a therapist or counselor? If so, we need to know the therapist's name and contact info, why they're in therapy, what approaches or techniques work well, and how often they have sessions. Do they have coping strategies for stress or anxiety? Maybe your daughter does deep breathing exercises, or your son has a special stuffed animal that comforts him. Document these. They'll be especially important during grief. Physical activity. Are your kids involved in sports or dance? Include the coach or instructor contact information, practice and game schedules, special equipment needed, team or studio culture, and expectations. For babies and toddlers, includes sleep routines and schedules, favorite comfort objects such as a pacifier, blanket, or stuffed animal, soothing techniques, which is rocking, white noise, or singing, diaper changing preferences, and bathing routines. For kids with special needs, if you have a child with special needs, be extra thorough. Include all therapists, which would include your physical, occupational, speech, and behavioral, support services they receive, equipment they use, such as wheelchair, communication device, etc., daily care routines, which include feeding, toileting, and bathing, behavioral strategies that work, sensory sensitivities, communication methods, IEP or service plan documents, emergency protocols for specific situations. So here's your action step. Create a health and care guide that includes all doctors and specialists with contact info, medical history and conditions, current medications with dosages and schedules, health insurance information, mental health support and coping strategies, physical activities and coaches, special care needs, if applicable. This guide could literally save your child's life in a medical emergency. Don't skip this step. Your kids' education is about more than just school. It's about setting them up for future success. The current school information. You need to list the school name, address, and phone number, principal and main office contact, teachers' names and contact information, school counselor or social worker, login info for online portals for grades, assignments, and attendance. Learning styles and needs. Every child learns differently. Does your daughter thrive with hands-on projects? Is your son a visual learner who needs diagrams and charts? Does your child learn best by listening and discussing? Share this information so teachers and caregivers can support your child's learning. Special educational needs. If your child has an IEP, which is an individualized education program, or a 504 plan, include a copy of the current plan, what accommodations they receive, which could be extra time on tests, preferential seating, assistive technology, etc., who the special education coordinator is, when the plan is up for review, what's working and what isn't. Extracurricular activities. School isn't just about academics. List music lessons, which would include the instrument, the teacher, and the practice schedule. Sports teams, which would include the coach, practice schedule, and equipment. Clubs, which would include debate, chess, robotics, or drama, for example. Art classes, tutoring or enrichment programs. Include contact information for instructors and coaches, schedules and locations, required equipment or materials, cost and payment schedules. College savings. If you started saving for college, document the 529 plan or other college savings accounts, account numbers and login information, how much is saved, instructions for accessing and using the funds, your wishes for how it should be used. Scholarships and financial aid. If your kids are approaching college age, have you researched scholarships? Make a list of scholarships they might be eligible for, application deadlines, required documents, which include birth certificates, social security cards, and transcripts. The college application process. For high school students, note where important documents are kept, SAT and ACT, prep materials and schedules, college visits planned or completed, application deadlines and requirements, your thoughts on college choices, but don't be too controlling. Let them choose. Your family's approach to education. Share your educational philosophy. Do you believe in summer enrichment programs, educational family trips, reading for pleasure, learning through play, pushing for top grades versus focusing on effort and growth? This helps guide future decisions about your children's education. So here's your action step. Create an education guide that includes current school info with contacts and logins, learning styles and preferences, special educational needs IEP 504 plans, extracurricular activities with schedules and contacts, college savings information, scholarships and financial aid resources, and your educational philosophy. Education is an investment in your children's future. Make sure whoever cares for them can continue that investment. All right, now we get to the big one, custody. Who raises your kids if you die? This is probably the most important decision you'll make in your entire estate plan, and it's the one most people avoid. Let's start with some statistics. Only 40% of parents with minor children have named a guardian in their will. That means 60% have not. If you die without naming a guardian, the court decides who raises your kids. The court's preference order is usually surviving parent, if applicable, grandparents, aunts and uncles, family friends, and then foster care. But here's the thing. The court doesn't know your family. They don't know that grandma is 80 and can't keep up with a toddler. They don't know that your brother has a drinking problem. They don't know that your sister would be perfect but lives across the country. The court makes decisions based on best interest of the child, but they're guessing. And while the court is deciding, your kids might be in temporary foster care. The average time for the court to appoint a guardian is 3 to 6 months. That's 3 to 6 months of uncertainty for your grieving children. So let's talk about how to choose a guardian. Questions to consider. Who would love and care for your children like you do? This is the most important question. Who has the patience, love, and commitment to raise your kids? 2. Who shares your values? Think about religious or spiritual beliefs, discipline and parenting style, education priorities, and cultural traditions. You want someone who will raise your kids in a way that aligns with your values. 3. Who has the financial means? Raising kids is expensive. Can your potential guardian afford to take on additional children? No, you can leave money to help support them through life insurance or your estate, but they still need baseline financial stability. 4. Who has the physical and emotional capacity? Are they healthy enough to keep up with kids? Do they have the emotional bandwidth to take on grieving children? 5. Where do they live? If your kids move, they'll leave behind their home, their school, their friends, their community, everything familiar. Is that in their best interest? Or is there someone local who could keep them in their current environment? 6. What's their family situation? Do they have their own kids? How many? What ages? Would your kids fit into their family? Would they get along? 7. Most importantly, are they willing and able? This is where most people make the mistake. They assume someone will take their kids. Don't assume. Ask. Have the conversation. If something happened to me, would you be willing and able to raise my kids? Give them permission to say no. Because if they say yes now, but mean no, then they'll say no when it actually happens, and your kids will be the ones who suffer. Special situations. Divorced parents. If you're divorced, custody typically goes to the other biological parent, even if you don't want it to. The only way to prevent this is if the other parent is legally unfit, abuse, neglect, or addiction, has had their parental rights terminated, or is deceased. If you have concerns about the other parent, document them and consult an attorney. Step families. If you're remarried and have kids from a previous relationship, your current spouse does not automatically get custody of your kids from a previous relationship. Custody goes to their other biological parent. If you want your current spouse to raise them, you need the other biological parent to be deceased or have terminated rights, your spouse to legally adopt your children. Otherwise, document your wishes and hope the court agrees, but there's no guarantee. Foster and adopted children. If you're fostering children, your wishes matter but may not be legally binding, depending on the foster situation. If you've adopted children, they're legally yours, same as biological children. Make your custody wishes crystal clear in your will. Co-guardianship. You can name co-guardians, 2 people who share responsibility. This might make sense if you want your kids raised by a couple. You want one person to handle day-to-day care and another to handle finances. You want to split custody between 2 families, though this can be hard on kids. Naming alternates. Always name a backup guardian and a backup to the backup. Life changes. Your first choice might not be available when the time comes. Financial considerations. Who will manage money for your kids? Options. 1, the guardian manages everything. 2, you name a separate person as financial guardian or trustee. 3, you set up a trust with specific instructions. If you have concerns about the guardian's financial management skills, consider separating these roles. Documenting your choice. Once you've chosen a guardian, 1, put it in your will. This is the legal document that matters. 2, write a letter explaining your choice. This isn't legally binding, but it helps the court understand your reasoning. For example, I've named my sister Sarah as guardian because she shares our values and faith. My kids already have a close relationship with her. She has the patience and loves to raise grieving children. She lives nearby so my kids can stay in their current school. She is financially stable and has agreed to take on this responsibility. I did not name my brother John because he has his own young children and felt it would be too much. He lives across the country. He has a demanding job that requires frequent travel. This decision is not about love. I love both of my siblings equally. It's about what's best for my children. 3, review regularly. Your guardian choice should change as life changes. Review after major life events such as marriage, divorce, birth, death, or relocation every 3 to 5 years whenever your children's needs change significantly. 4. Talk to your kids if they're old enough. If your kids are teenagers, ask their opinion. If something happened to me, who would you want to live with? Their input matters, and the court will consider it for older children. So here's your action step. This week, 1. Make a list of potential guardians. Consider all the factors we discussed. 2. Ask your top choice. Have the conversation. Make sure they're willing and able. 3. Name alternates. Have backup options. 4. Document it legally. Update your will with your guardian designation. 5. Write an explanatory letter. Explain your reasoning to help the court and your family understand. This is the most important decision you'll make. Don't avoid it. Your kid's future depends on it. All right, let's recap. Today we covered schedules and routines, such as daily rhythms that provide security, after-school activities and traditions, bedtime rituals, weekend and annual traditions, diet and food, such as favorite meals and recipes, dietary restrictions and allergies, meal routines and traditions, and picky eater strategies, care and health, doctors and specialists, medical history and medications, health insurance, mental health support, special needs care, education, school information and contacts, learning styles and needs, special education plans and extracurricular activities, college savings and planning, and custody wishes, how to choose a guardian, questions to consider, ask before you name, special situations such as in divorce, step families, foster and adopted kids, and documenting it legally. Here's what I want you to do this week. 1. Write down your kids' daily routines. Be specific. Include the little things. 2. List their doctors, medications, and health info. This could save their life in an emergency. 3. Ask your potential guardian. Are you willing and able to raise my kids if something happens to me? Have the conversation. Don't assume. Planning for custody isn't about replacing you. No one can do that. It's about making sure your children are cared for and loved no matter what. Next week, what about the other family members in your home? Elderly parents, special needs siblings, and yes, your pets? They need a plan too. We're covering it all. Until then, document your kids' routines, gather their health information, and ask your guardian. And remember, death is inevitable, chaos is optional. I'll catch you next week on The Flip Side of Death.